What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first ever episode of Vinecast. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. Joining me on the show is Mr. Matt and Kate. We are pulling double duty because we just recorded River City 93 right before this. So, make sure you go check that out. Make sure you go like, share, and subscribe. Also, before we get started, I got to give a shout out to Pedro. If you don't know who Pedro is a member of the Red Army. His studio that he owns, Audio Veritas, he created the music for our podcast. So we got new music, new show. Much like the women's team, the Richmond Ivy, this is a brand new show. So it will have his own dedicated show. It will have his own dedicated section on YouTube, which make sure you go to River City 93 to like, share, and subscribe. You can also type in Vinecast and it should pop up there. It's all there. All the hard work that we have done, especially because of Kate. She has done some hard work, some very hard work that has led us to do this show. Very much so that she created her own Google Doc. Well, I created my own Google Doc. And they were both the same. They were the same Google Doc, Kate.
Sorry. I love making. Actually, you know what? I made a spreadsheet.
There you go. You never go wrong with a good spreadsheet. Matt, how long did it take for you to realize that there was already a spreadsheet that had the information that I was like, for us to put on there?
Well, I didn't make any spreadsheets myself because couldn't be bothered. Again, old man, my notes written on a pad.
There you go.
I had no idea Kate filled out all the stuff in advance for us.
Oh man. Like I just said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Once again, shout out to Pedro. Y'all, this is exciting because we have a women's team in the River City. It's been, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 years, 13 years since we last had a women's team in Richmond.
I don't remember what technically the last year of the Destiny was, but yeah, their heyday was like 04 to 08 or 09. They might have made it to like 10 or something like that, but let's say 14, 15 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. So for those who don't know, this is your first time listening to this. The last year it got announced that Richmond was having a women's team. Finally got announced this March. We got the colors, the name, Richmond Ivy. We got the head coach, Coach Cummings. We got players now. We got a full roster. Even more so that every day the last week that they were tweeting out a player, I would just tweet underneath it like updates Google Doc because we thought we knew who the players were, but we did not know. But now we know, and that's what we're here to talk about. So, Kate, I'll let you take over this. How are we going to talk about this roster? Who this team is? Who are they playing? And why is it important?
Yeah, so it's really exciting just to remind everyone, this is a pre-professional team. The purpose of the W League is to provide sort of the bottom level of a soccer pyramid for women's soccer in the U.S. It's an incomplete pyramid. We've got the NWSL at the top. We've got the USL Super League also at the top in that top tier division. USL Super League kicks off in August of this year. The W League is pre-professional. So these players are not signing professional contracts. They're not being paid. And it pretty much is serving a bridge between spring training with their collegiate programs and when preseason starts up again at the end of July and August before the fall season kicks off. So it's a short sprint of a season. Each division has a few different not every single division is exactly equal in the number of teams that are playing in it. The Ivy are playing in the Mid-Atlantic division, which there's an article coming soon that sort of looks at the other teams in this division in detail. So keep an eye on River City 93 for that. Unfortunately, this does look to be a pretty strong division. 2 teams that went to the playoffs last year. One of them went to the semifinals, the national semifinals, and a team that joined from a competitor pre-professional league that came to the USLW League, who also went to the national semifinals in that league. So pretty strong division that the Ivy has joined. So we have high expectations for our team, but we do know that we should be seeing some pretty good games among some pretty good teams, which is maybe more than some other divisions can say. So there's an exciting spin for everything. So we thought we'd sort of go through the players. We could still, obviously, we're about a little less than out now from the home opener. So we could still see more players signed in the course of the next week. They kicked off training earlier this week, so it's not necessarily been a long time since the team has gotten together and started training. So we thought we'd go through the players by position and talk briefly about which players stand out to us based on their collegiate records, and maybe if we think we might get a sense of if they're going to be in the starting 11 or not for the team. So, Matt, do you want to kick us off with the goalkeepers?
Sure. So, as of right now, I think there's 4 goalkeepers listed on the roster, unless we missed another announcement in the last 20 minutes or so, because they just like to troll us and specifically Elliot.
Yeah, let me go check.
Yeah, I'm pretty safe to say that we're mostly going to be talking about 3 of them. So, kind of leading this off, I'm just going to go in the order that they were announced. As joining up with the Ivy. So first up, we have Lauren Hargrove. She's currently at Virginia Tech. She's going to be, I think, a redshirt junior this upcoming year. I think the safe assumption for everybody is going to be played at Richmond United. We'll say otherwise if they didn't, but let's just assume they were Richmond United. So went to Freeman, West End girl. Didn't play this last year at Tech. Can't quite figure out if it was a medical red shirt, if it was just a strategic red shirt. But she was pretty much the locked-in 2022 starter, for Tech. So playing the ACC, which is most years one of the best leagues in the entire country. 5'9". From the videos I was able to see, really able to make some solid stops. Was kind of the starter for the Richmond United team that went to nationals in her age group. I think her big highlight is she made I think 2 or 3 really big saves in Tech's 2022 win over North Carolina. North Carolina perennial College Cup team, so being able to help lead the team to big upset. Their only goal she gave up in that game was just a wicked deflection that no chance she was ever going to save that anyway. So for me, that's my guess is that Lauren's probably going to be the starter again. The big caveat there is was it a medical red shirt? The Virginia Tech website, step your game up because it is hard to find information about your players on your own website and anything that's happened in the last year. Another goalkeeper joining up the team, Keely Thomas. Went to Maggie Walker, just like Kickers team academy keeper James Sneddon. It's weird for me. I went there too. We were a nerd school. Why are there athletes there now? Started off at Longwood. Now she's at Long Island University. You're going to be a redshirt sophomore this upcoming year. 5'9" keeper. Played every game for Long Island. Last year in their league, 1.29 goals against. 0.76 save rate. Team, just kind of looking through everything. It was an okay team. They beat some small schools, but she looked like she really played well in a couple games. Made 10 saves in a game against Central Connecticut State. Had 9 in another game. So definitely can be able to make the saves. From the videos I was able to find, shout out to Keely for having your own YouTube channel with some recruiting videos on there. Love it. Really good about being able to aggressively come off the line, be able to intercept balls, be able to get out at attackers' feet. Third, goalkeeper Cameron Miller, deep run, over to UVA. After that, going to be a redshirt junior. She's made 1 appearance for UVA, thus far. But was 2021 Regional Player of the Year when she was at deep run. So Matt's probably going to be reserve goalkeeper for the Ivy this year. And rounding out is, I believe it's an academy player, unless I'm, Logan Marks, headed off to Oklahoma State, of all places. for freshman year, coming up. So Big 12, country. I'm impressed that Oklahoma State's recruiting all the way out here. Couldn't find much more.
She is, according to the Ivy website, 6 foot compared to, I think all of the other 3 are 5'9". So
yeah, love a tall goalkeeper. So I might have a little bit of bias in that direction, but I think if I was to lay money out, I'd say Lauren Hargrove's the presumptive starter with that big asterisk of is she healthy.
Do you think at any chance they'll rotate goalkeepers? Like a goalkeeper get 1 game here, 2 games here, and then like another goalkeeper get 2, 3 here?
I think it's likely because after this first week, then they have a week off, and then they go on what I think can only be called a death march of a schedule.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a lot of these girls getting minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Hargrove and Thomas both see time in goal. Same thing with all the other positions that are going to be covered later on. I don't think I would be surprised if anybody's playing 90 every single game.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they have such a large roster.
Probably so. Give it so. And also, with no money, it's kind of just like, hey, you need something to do after college? Need an internship? Come play for us. There you go. It works. Kate, I'll hand it back off to you. You want to go through the defenders that we have?
Yeah, I will. So one big asterisk for both the defense and the midfield is that several of the players in both of those categories, if they were a central player, they were been described like that. No one was described explicitly as a winger or an outside back. So I didn't have the time to watch any tape to see if, there's maybe any video evidence of any of these players playing out wide. So it is a kind of a question mark for us. I don't know if anyone who knows these players has more information that they'd like to share. It was not included in the Ivy blog post, whether or not they played on the wing. So if anyone listening knows if any of the players who are not labeled to a specific position, they have a preferred side, let us know. Would love to know. Would love to have some more info on who we might be seeing either on wings or in the outside back roles. So also started going in the order that they are listed on the Ivy website. We've got Ava Pustover, but she's listed as a defender, but she's also listed as a midfielder and forward, depending on what year. So she seems to be can play it all. She's from Oakdale, Pennsylvania, so one of the few who is not from Richmond, but she does play at VCU, and she is a rising junior. All her appearances in the last 2 seasons were appearances, so she has not earned a place in the starting 11 for VCU, but she does have that she played in the WPSL, which is a competitor pre-professional league to W League. So she does have some experience playing sort of in the summer back home in Pennsylvania. So that's good. Lindsay Munyak is a center back. She's who I would expect to be one of the starting center backs, seeing as this season, her senior season at VCU, she did start all 18 games over 1,500 minutes. So she was pretty much locked in at a left-sided center back at VCU. That was in her coach at VCU talked about that. She also scored her first career goal in September at George Mason, which earned the number 9 spot on SportsCenter's top 10 that evening. So we've got an illustrious history of SportsCenter top 10 goals here in Richmond. So love to see her continue that streak with a SportsCenter 10 appearance for an W League goal, if those are televised well enough to be included in that roundup.
I'll get an internet grab.
Maybe on YouTube.
I gotta find it. We'll report back how it is. The other center back who's listed is Mason Nelson. She's a rising junior tech. She's also made more substitute appearances. She had 6 starts in 2023, but she did have 5 clean sheets in her total 10 appearances. So that's pretty good for a defender. So those are the only 2 who are explicitly listed with a defensive position. So I could see them starting as our starting center back pairing.
Yeah.
All right.
Also,
Reports are
Mason
coming
Nelson,
in.
Mason Nelson, 5'8", again, like, a little bit, taller players, and it's always, having to remember to recalibrate, size for the women's game versus the men's game, where, uh, we're talking like 6'4", 6'5", defenders in the men's game, probably, 5'9", 5'10" is going to be your center back size, for a lot of, top end center backs. So
Yeah.
just, always remembering to recalibrate, what we're used to with the kickers. This is going to be different than what we see with the IV. And different isn't bad. It's just different.
Yeah. Super.
Are hearing reports coming in the chat that the SportsCenter top 10, the goalkeeping might not have been to par, but as fans of the women's game, no, goalkeeping is not usually the strongest part of any women's game. So outside of Hope Solo, I'm not surprised.
It will be for the women's team. It will be for the Ivy, all right?
Ivy will buck the trend.
Right. Because if nothing else, Richmond can produce a goalkeeper. You are keeping that trend alive. Nothing else.
Nothing else. Next up, we've got Bruce Fulkerson. She's currently at Roanoke College. Her freshman season at Roanoke, she did earn 17 out of 17 starts, 1,300 minutes, 9 clean sheets in that time. So pretty record, obviously. I think some context there in terms of the strength of the league that she plays in compared to some of the other players, but a player strong enough to earn a place in her starting 11 as a freshman, you like to see that. So she's another player who I could see starting, but we were not given any more information about where she plays in the back line. So interesting to see that. She made the all-conference third team as a freshman, so not bad. We've got Ella Stanley up next. She's at JMU. She's a rising sophomore. She was called up to the U17 women's national team camp in 2021, which is, always a good endorsement of a player's quality. But she did make only 3 starts in her 18 appearances for JMU. So still early enough in her career, but not sure. She's listed as possibly a midfielder as well. So I think she was initially signed as a midfielder and now is listed as a defender. So she might have some positional versatility. Alexis Pierce was called a defensive midfielder. So in addition to a defender, she's a rising sophomore at Elon. She also did sort of a handful of appearances, 2 starts, 3 appearances, but for a total of 91 minutes, both in and out of conference play. So not too much to go off of for her. Kenley Campbell is one of the 5 Richmond United players who were announced in a batch last week. She is a rising freshman. She will be going William and Mary in the fall. So that's exciting to see these academy players included in the squad. And then finally, our most recent addition to the team was Erin Junkman, who played for Georgetown for the past 4 years and is transferring to the University of Michigan for her 5th year of eligibility for this upcoming fall. She had 9 appearances, 7 starts, but she did have 2 shots, both of which were shots on target. So our defending numbers, we didn't have a lot of shots coming from pretty much all of the defenders. So good to see a defender who's willing to take a shot, and also when they do, puts that shot on target. So will be interesting to see how.
Yeah, probably a real big dummy too. Georgetown to Michigan, hit the books, girl. Come on.
She's a Hoyer,
She's a classroom to classroom defender.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. Okay, let me ask you this about the defense. Like, obviously, we don't know who's a center back, who's a fullback, or whatever. But like, how do you think Coach Cummings sets up her defense, or what do you think she's looking to do with her defense?
They've said over and over they're looking to score goals. So we honestly, up until about a month ago, had a single defender on the roster. So early signings very much focused on the midfield, on the forward. We had a few goalkeepers as well because you have to have a goalkeeper. But it really wasn't until much more recently did we even start to see defensive signings come. but a lot of them are described as able to play. They look to get forward. They get involved in the attack. So I don't know. I think there was a priority on players who have strong defensive records, but also look to get forward, get involved in the attack. I know this is we've just heard over and over. They want to score goals. They want to be an exciting attacking team. So not that having a strong defense is an afterthought necessarily, but it's definitely not where the team. We're not looking at a Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte setup here. We're looking at a team who's looking to get forward. So I assume that these defenders, we're going to see the outside backs getting forward, whether or not that's, in terms of crossing or just playing further up the field, whether that'll be a high line, what that actually looks like in practice. But I imagine a lot of these players were looked at from their attacking output in addition to defensive record.
So Coach Cummings is looking pretty much to play F1 soccer. Like, hey, just go. Just go. Damn the torpedoes.
Yep.
Do you think she goes back 4 or back 3?
I don't know. I don't know if also lack of specific descriptors means that for a lot of these players, because they're maybe earlier in their career, they're not getting a lot of minutes, they need to be versatile, that they haven't specialized in a particular side or in a particular position, that they have a diversity to them. So I don't know if that means she might be able to play different back lines depending on who they're playing. If they might have players who can play as more wing backs as opposed to traditional outside backs. If they can maybe move between a back 4 or a back 3, depending on who's playing. I think because we're not getting a lot of specifics, we could also see a lot of different setups as well.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering that. So we got the midfield up next. Do you want to share with me, Kate?
Yeah, sure thing. I can handle the first.
So I'll start off first with the midfield. Huh?
Yeah. You want to go for it?
Oh, God. All right. Woo. All right. Here we go. We got the Richmond Army midfield. We got Morgan Oliver. She's a midfielder. She's from Powhatan. She did her high school club at Kickers Youth. Went to Lynchburg University. She's a rising sophomore. She had 5 starts, 199 appearances.
That's wrong.
2 games.
19.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that is a lot.
199 would be impressive.
19. There we go. Let's fix that. All right, there we go. She's a little bit more of attacking, I want to say, midfielder, because she has 21 shots, 10 shots on target. And then we have Brianna Bim, who, by the way, oh my God, now I'm blanking on his name. He's the guy he's the field crew guy for the Kickers, for City Stadium. I can't think of his name right now, but I know he went to South Carolina, and he's very excited because she went to South Carolina. She is from Williamsburg, however, played for Richmond United. She's a rising 5th-year senior there. She also had the goal that was the game winner in the SEC championship game. So we know she's a clutch player. She can score a banger if need be. The thing I think that stands out most about her is that from 2022 to 2023, her starts have increased, but also her production has increased, if that makes sense. So, like, 2022, she had 14 starts, roughly 900 minutes there, with 10 shots on target, 4 scored. 2023, she had 18 starts, almost 1,200 minutes, and she had 3 assists. So you can see now she's starting to hit she's starting to enter her prime where she's starting to be a little bit more distributor while also being an attacking force as well. We got Ava Legant. Hope I said that right. She's a little bit more of a central midfielder from Glen Island, Virginia. Did her high school club at Richmond United. If you're getting a theme that a lot of these players came from Richmond United, it's because it is. She goes to University of Illinois. She's a rising freshman there. She's enrolling early. I think she started this semester, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. She's enrolled. Okay. She graduated early, I think, to enroll in their spring squad. So she technically.
So that lets you know she is very smart. Very smart. Because I didn't graduate early. Um, she has 8 goals, 18 assists in the 2023 senior season. And then we go look at Dakota Brown. Same thing. She's a central midfielder, kind of specifies as a 6. From Culpeper. Richmond United again. Went to Tennessee. So she'll be a teammate of former U.S. men's national team goalkeeper's daughter, Tim Howard. His daughter just announced to go to Tennessee, so they'll be teammates there. But 2022, she had 4 appearances, less than 130 minutes there, with 2 shots and 1 goal scored. She did miss most of 2023 to injury, but this is a cool thing. In 2021, they just showed her potential. She was invited to the U.S. Youth National Team regional ID camp. After attending that, she received another invitational, this time to the U18, U19 U.S. Women's National Team virtual camp. Question: how do you do a virtual camp? Like, do you just plug up a Wi-Fi at your house and just have it on Zoom while you work out? I have questions.
No.
Huh.
We got a couple players who were up at the virtual camp. So I don't. COVID.
Making creative players and playing FIFA.
Yeah, like, are we just playing pro? Like, did you just say you're a pro clubs link and be like, "I create yourself," and then we'll just all practice? Because if that's the case, I'm making myself 99 rated and everything. Yeah, I'm just wondering that. All right, and we got Hannah Heaton. She's a midfielder from Gloucester, Richmond United. Went to seeing Christopher Newport University. I was about to go 757. My fault. Christopher Newport University. She's a rising junior. 2023, she got 20 starts, 21 appearances, roughly 1,400 minutes there, 7 goals, 4 game winners. So once again, another clutch player, 6 assists, a little bit more of a distributor here. And she transferred from UNC Wilmington in 2023 and played a lot there as well. But as you will kind of get a theme, some colleges don't do well at keeping stats. So, Kate, I'll hand it off to you so you can finish off the rest of the midfielders.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so next up we got Kylie Fitzgerald, another Richmond United player out of Glen Allen. She's a rising junior at the University of Richmond. Looking at the stats, U of R wasn't too great team last year, so the overall team record wasn't too great. But as a sophomore, she stepped up from her. She started 10 games her freshman year, with 17 total appearances, 12 shots, half of which were on target, and then as a sophomore, 17 starts out of 18. Still similar number of minutes, not too many more minutes, but you like to see the trust in the starting 11. Fewer shots, 5 shots, but still 2 on target. So liking a lot of these players have pretty close to a 50% shot on target rate, which you do like to see. Obviously, you miss 100% of the shots you never take, but you also miss 100% of the shots that are off target. So it's nice to see that a lot of them are at least hitting that 50% mark in terms of their accuracy and in shots. Next up, we've got probably the second biggest name that they announced, not necessarily in terms of sort of anyone off the street would recognize her, but in terms of the resume that she brings into this team is Jill Flamia, another Richmond United product. She is a rising junior at UVA. She has been a clutch player at UVA, a few important goals. She's had 2 game winners last season, 15 appearances in her freshman year season, but 26 shots, 15 of which were on target. And then last season, 14 starts, a little over 1,000 minutes, 3 goals, 2 game winners, 1 assist, 33 shots, 15 on target. So again, hitting that 50% accuracy rate in terms of shots. But the big addition on her resume was she attended several youth national team camps before 2023, but in 2023 she was called up to the U20 women's national team. She participated in the U20 CONCACAF championship. She played in 3 different games, 2 group stage wins, and started the semifinal 2-1 win over Costa Rica. So she played for U14, U16, U18 youth national team programs, but actually playing in a CONCACAF tournament with the U20 national team, which again is really getting you close to that U23 and the actual senior team. It's really exciting that we have a player in the squad who standing out nationally to that level, to not just be called into talent ID camps, to virtual camps. Those obviously are incredible accomplishments, but being a player who's actually getting tournament minutes for
Kate, on top of that, like when she was playing Richmond United, just getting all ECNL, all everything, pretty much every single year. So regional player of the year 4 years in a row. So basically her entire high school career was the best player in the entire region. Moving up, making the national team, which is I think like a top 25 recruit in the country. Her class coming in. So an actual legitimate player, and one that I think in any game that the team is looking at as a must win is going to be the central core piece of the team.
Yeah, so really exciting to see her. That could be one of those jerseys you get now. You say you get her W League jersey, and then maybe in a few years that jersey becomes a lot more valuable, depending on where she is able to sort of take her current college career. She's still got a few years of eligibility left, so she won't be going pro anytime soon. But we hopefully she'll continue to come back here to Richmond.
I did appreciate on her UVA player profile page they have a big old link for NIL opportunities. So if you do want to sponsor,
get that money, Jill. Get that money.
Hey, you think we could get her to do a promo for Vinecast? Like we pay her like $50 to be like, hey, just do like a couple of promos for us.
Maybe give us a little lower first.
So then to round out our midfield, we've got who we assume is Jill's younger sister, Sarah, another Richmond United product, who will also be a freshman at UVA in the fall. We cannot imagine there are too many Flamias who could not be related in the elite talent.
Jill's profile page on the UVA website does say younger sister Sarah.
So there we go. That's the proof
That'll
we
be
needed.
A shocking coincidence.
Yes. Very surprised with all of the references to high school teammates, college teammates, RU teammates, that a sister was not mentioned in her IV announcement post for Sarah when Sarah was included in the roundup. But she wants to branch out on her own. Doesn't want to earn her reputation off the back of her sister. Good for you, Sarah. We've also got Emerson Moore, who is the only non-currently collegiate player, or everyone else on the team will either be a freshman in the fall or is already in college. Emerson is a rising sophomore in high school. She is the class of 2027, which is just an absurd year for people to be graduating high school. She is out of Lynchburg and has just signed to Richmond United for the first time. So she is actually new to the RU setup for this summer. But she had 26 and 22 assists in her freshman year season at Virginia Episcopal in Lynchburg. So we take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes private schools might be playing in a slightly weaker league than public schools, but that's still some pretty impressive numbers. So excited to see the W League also sort of take an academy-minded approach and maybe bring some even younger players into the setup to hopefully give them some development with stronger collegiate players.
Is it cool to call the youth players the baby vines? Like, you know how we call like Landon them the baby roos? Are they baby vines?
Baby vines.
Are they bulbs? Like, how do you grow a vine?
We were having this discussion. Well, because a kicker isn't necessarily a kangaroo, so they just created a kicker. So I guess the mascot for Ivy might not be a plant at all. So we could have them rock up. We could see anybody rock up. We'll have to see if they roll with the Ivy specifically as the mascot, or if they do something.
What if they just get poison ivy? Is poison ivy appropriate?
It could be poison ivy.
That's a Batman villain.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, is it appropriate? Like, can we just do poison ivy as the mascot?
She'd win in a fight for sure.
Exactly. It's better than what the Virginia species of ivy is called, which is creepers.
True.
Look, no, never mind. This is going nowhere fast.
You cannot wait to see
nowhere
how
good fast. How about that?
Just wondering. All right. So speaking about the midfield,
rounding out our midfielders are a local Kickers celebrity affiliate.
She's at all the games all the time.
She had 100+ attendance. Her record of attendance at Kickers is claimed to be at over 100, and that is I don't want to butcher this. Isa, is that where we?
There you go. Either way, Mika will correct us. So you're right.
Yes, Isa Elivara. We are really excited that Mika's daughter is joining the W League setup. She is a holding midfielder. She currently plays with Richmond United, and she will be at University of Central Florida in the fall. So she also has been involved in her youth national team program. She's been invited to Finland U17 and U18 camps. She's played with both teams, and in her debut with Finland, she claimed an assist in their win over Estonia in 2022. So she is already among the goal contributions for her country in the youth setup. So it's really exciting that we not just have a player in the Jamaican setup, in the American setup, also in the Finland setup. So we are truly an international team here. So we're super excited to see a member of the Elivara family on the field, wearing the jersey, not just sort of in the back office providing support. So super excited for that one. That one's for the real kickers heads out there.
Do you think there's any chance Mika and Kim are looking at Isa and just like, hey, you see Zaka? Do that. Just do that.
I think Mika, in his perfect world, would prefer his children maybe be a little more technical and maybe a little less bookable.
I just imagine Mika's like, just clear them all out. Speaking about the midfield, like, how do you think Kim sets up this midfield? Like, is she looking to? Because the way, like you said, like the way she looking to described this team was, we want to go out there, be on the front foot, be attacking, control tempo. Do you think she kind of like overloads the midfield and kind of just like allow them to dictate the game or whatnot?
It's a good question because all the specifics we got are players who are playing centrally. We didn't really get any info if we've got any wingers. I assume statistically there must be at least a winger among them, although we were not given that information directly. So I do wonder if that means, she's looking to set up with a more she wants to get forward. She wants to score goals. So I know that like a hyper possession placed game is not to sort of reduce momentum, but increase momentum and look to get forward. So I don't know if, we might have a, central midfield trio instead of maybe like a 4 across with wingers. It's interesting. If anyone has any information, if any of these players are wingers, please let us know. It'll help us fill in our sort of depth chart of our midfield right now. Now we know we got a lot of players who play centrally, several players who are playmakers. Several were described as playmakers. A lot were described as comfortable on the ball, comfortable dribbling. So it looks to hopefully be a team with a lot of who are very comfortable on the ball, who are looking to maintain possession, but always with the goal of creating opportunities and goals with that possession, not just possession for the sake of it.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, the way how this team is shaping up, it looks like I'll say that for after we go through the forwards, what I'm thinking this team is shaping up. So before I get too ahead of myself, let me go and start with the forwards. So we got Kendall Saver. She is a forward and more so a target forward here from Maryland. Played at VCU. She's a rising junior. 2022, she had 19 starts, almost 1,600 minutes, 8 goals scored, 2 game winners, 2 assists. So she's really, really, a possession-heavy kind of forward, likes the ball on her feet. 2023, roughly the same, a little bit less minutes there. Her goal scoring went down a little bit, but that's because she just had less starts. But this is a cool thing. She was the A10 Conference Rookie of the Year and played in the W last year for Olympia, Washington. So she has some experience at this level already. And then we move on to probably going to butcher this last name, Kina Matsuhisu.
Matsuhisu?
There we go. That's when we pay you the big bucks virtually. She goes from Tokyo, Japan. And if you know anything about Richmond soccer, any player that comes from Japan, we have a really, really good track record of them being game changers, i.e. Udai, Karen Fitzgerald. We have a good track record of that, so that goes well. She goes to VCU. She's a rising senior. 2022, she had 19 starts as well, roughly almost 1,600 minutes. 2023, roughly the same, 18 starts, 1,400 minutes there. 2023, she was a USL League One champion with Indy 11. And also shout out to Indy 11 because all the stuff that's going on there. If you haven't followed it, let's just hope that lower league soccer in that city sticks around for a long time. But yeah, she played with them last year. She had 2 stars, 6 appearances there while winning the W League last year with Indy 11. Then we have Taylor Berry, who's an attacking midfielder, but she can play forward. From Richmond United, goes to Youngstown State up in Ohio. She's a rising junior. 2022, she had 10 starts, 17 appearances with almost 10,000 minutes played, 4 goals, 1 assist. In 2023, you can see her start to develop a little bit. She got more starts, 17 starts, 1,100 minutes played with 3 goals, 3 assists, and 12 shots on goal. She really likes to dictate play because I think it was her YouTube clip or Youngstown YouTube clip. She kind of, I'm not gonna say she like Neil-esque, but she really is like where the attackers are in front of her, she's kind of like the one pulling the strings. She's the one like, all right, I'll drift out wide, pick up the ball, and have the winger dropped off, and then I'll pick up that spot, or I'll go to the right and pick it up. Like she really is like a dictating player. So don't be surprised if you go to a game and you see her just get on the ball, and if it feels like things are getting hectic, she'll get on the ball, slow it down, and kind of start dictating play in that way. Then we got Maddie Vincent. She's from Smithfield, Virginia, which, if you don't know what Smithfield famous for, they have great ham. That's always a win. She's another from Christopher Newport University. She's a rising 50. My wife just gave me a look when I said that. She's a rising 50-year senior. 2023, she had 22 appearances, 500 minutes played, 1 goal scored. She played at JMU for 3 seasons, so kind of a late bloomer where she's really getting her start at CNU. So we haven't seen the best of Maddie. I think this is someone who might be a late bloomer and can probably grow into it. And next we have is Walker Brister. I almost messed that up. Went to App State, rising freshman there, 4-year starter, 23 games played, and 12 assists. I'm assuming that's a high school, Kate?
Yeah. For high school, yeah. She'll be a freshman at App
State. I was about to say, if she already got that as a rising freshman, I don't think she played at the wrong level. And last but not least, folks, I need y'all to understand how excited I am to have this person a part of Richmond Ivy, because I am the resident Jamaican on this show. I have been calling for this player to be the first ever signing. She was the first ever signing for Richmond Ivy. Her dad is a Kickers legend. Her son currently plays for the Kickers. Not her son. Her brother.
That would be breaking news.
Right. That was about to be weird. Greg listen to this like, wait, what? She plays with Richmond Ivy. She got her start she made her debut for the Jamaican national team. I'm going to introduce her, but I'm just going through all her accolades first. Got her start at the World Cup this past year. Played in the game that got Jamaica, men's or women's, their first ever win in a World Cup. Almost scored in that same World Cup against Panama. Was the youngest player there on that team. Is the future of the Jamaican national team, so much so that Jamaican soccer pundits have said she is the next coming of Bunny Shaw. Keep that in mind. It is Miss Cameron Simmons. She is a forward from Midlothian, started off at University of Tennessee, transferred to Florida State. She's a rising junior. In 2022, she has 16 appearances, roughly 500 minutes played, 4 goals, 1 game winner. She's a little feisty, 3 yellow cards, but hey, when you play in Tennessee, you gotta get your fights in. 2023, she had 18 starts, bumped up to 1,200 minutes, right? 8 goals scored, 3 assists, 4 yellow cards. Not afraid to take a shot. She had 41 shots, 22 on target side. Half of the shots she's taking, they are getting on target, and also scored a PK. Like I said, she played for the Jamaica's women's team in 2023, and she scored the first goal in the Cup of Nations. So she is baked into the Jamaican national team. I am so excited to know that in my own backyard, the future attack of the Jamaican national team is growing in our ranks. I love it.
Surprised you didn't mention that you're both Southsiders.
Yeah, I mean, she's Midlothian. We count them to an extent. It depends on what part of Chippenham she lives on. If she's closer to the mall, that ain't Southside. That's Chesterfield.
She went to James River.
Yeah, she ain't Southside there. She ain't Chippenham Southside.
Literally south of the river.
Yeah. Yeah.
Already disowning her. You hype her up for a 3-minute monologue, and now it's done with her.
I'm not disowning her. I'm just saying she ain't Southside. She's Chesterfield. She's Midlothian. Tax bracket a little different. Move a little different around there.
Where you live, Elliot?
That's besides the point. It's where I was born. Okay, that's besides the point.
Let's say another good thing about Cam. She realized, just like we all realized, this last Friday. This is a crossover reference. Knoxville's an absolute garbage place to live, and she got the hell out of town.
Right. She made the right decision. Right decision.
Yeah. I think.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I was just say I think that's for also, it's a great move just because that they are the reigning national championship, but also the Tennessee coach was poached by the current reigning national team championship and wanted her to come with him. So clearly that coach is national championship caliber, and he considers her to be integral to his as in pursuit of what I imagine is in the back-to-back national championships. So I think it speaks really highly of her relationship with her coach and the ceiling he sees for her, that he wanted to bring her with him. She didn't just make that sort of transfer out of nowhere, but to know that like your coach sees so important to the way he wants to play that he wants to bring you to the reigning national championship side says a lot about hopefully how important she'll be in that setup. She's not just making this transfer to a new program, a better program, but hopefully will be starting and continuing to perform at a very high level in this even higher level program.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think all of us kind of had a feeling like Cameron would be the first one. When the team got announced, we were all like, all right, Cameron got to be the first signing. And to see that she was the first signing kind of gave us a clear indication of like, okay, like this is a team that
people are actually going to do this. Because I think that was the big question is like, would she be willing to do this? Like, what's the caliber you're going to come in? Is it going to be like randos, or are they actually going to be able to get, cream of the crop, relatively local? And they did.
Yeah, they did. It's a big sign. It's like, I mean, obviously, like, she has a long, lengthy career in front of her, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the end all be all for her is to be, the starter of their Jamaican national team, and then like playing in NWSL, right? And to get her to come early now, kind of see that development. And the same thing with Fleming, right? Like, these are two players that you can see like, oh, they're getting a start here, and then they're gonna eventually push on to something else. So it's just cool to see. It's also great for me as a Jamaican because she starts here, great. And then like, because I'm also pitching Nick Simmons to go to the Cup of Nations, Copa America for Jamaica because we have no strikers. So the same thing with Cameron. Like, I'm going to be pitching her every single time to Jamaica FA. Like, start her, play her. Yeah,
Maybe not this summer though.
Yeah, not this summer. July.
Or in July.
No, like playoff time.
Yeah.
True.
After playoff, after we win the title. There we go. We'll solve it. We'll figure it out.
maybe we bring the Jamaican women's national team to Richmond. Maybe they play against the stadium.
Because
with what money?
Jamaica FA has no money. They'll play anywhere for free. Yeah. So with that being said, like the forward options, I'm imagining like it's going to be a good rotation. I'm in my head, I'm imagining that Cameron is going to be starting. Like she's going to be the up top, go-to guy. Go-to girl on this team. But I think this group, the forward group alone, is probably the most experienced group out of everyone, out of the midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers. Like this group has the most experience because you have someone that played at USLW, 2 players that played at USLW before, and 1 player that played in the World Cup. So
yep.
Like, all right. So we've got to know everyone. So like, I want to ask you guys this: like, who do you think is going to be the offensive and defensive MVPs of this team so far? I will tell you right now, my bet is on Cameron Simmons.
Really?
Yeah, that's my money. I will say this now. Huh?
Yeah.
Are you a fan?
No, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, I know we're not doing like early predictions, but I'm going to do mine now. So much so that I think Cameron will be in the USLW team, first team. She will have double-digit goals and assists. And, yeah.
It's only a 12-game season, right?
Double-digit goals and assists, sir.
I will say,
do you mean double-digit goals and double-digit assists, or combination goals and assists is double digits?
Both.
Okay.
I will say the talent gap in this division in the past season meant that there's been some very good teams at the top and some not so very good teams at the bottom, which means there have been a few games with pretty lopsided score lines. There was a team who actually went 0-0-11 with a net goal difference of -58 last season. So I think it's a short season, but depending on the quality gap, there's some opportunities for some stat padding against some lower. So it'll be interesting to see if it shakes out. This is a pretty strong division, but the gap, at least historically, has been quite wide between those strong teams. So there is that opportunity to knock you in against some lower quality position.
Yeah, what about y'all? Like, who do you think will be the MVP of this team? Like the offensive defensive MVP?
I couldn't tell you. It's hard enough to guess who's going to start or anything. I think we've identified the 2 most likely players to stand out. Simmons and Flaming. That's based off of their college play thus far. But who knows how that's going to translate? There's some guesswork on. Does maybe a senior who's been at a bigger school but hasn't played as much, how does she rate up against a freshman or sophomore at just coming in who doesn't have the same experience versus a player playing at a lower level but's been playing a lot. Like I don't know how that's going to play out. What's going to win out. Like we've seen plenty of times before with leagues where just being 21, 22 years old is going to give you physical maturity advantage over an 18-year-old. You might not be technically as strong, but you can bully a lot easier. So it's a matter of seeing how that's going to play out, because there's just so many unknowns. I think what the hope has to be is that so many of these players have played together through Richmond United, and hopefully across the age groups they've trained cross-trained in the past as well, so there won't be a huge learning curve. I think that's where the potential competitive advantage could come in.
I think also with such an attack-minded team, you do like if the team's really committing to going forward, you leave yourself in. You're vulnerable on the counterattack. You see this time and again for these teams. You are vulnerable. So I would imagine we obviously want some MVP level performances out of our attacking players, but I could see the goalkeepers, their ability to pull out a big save to make a game-changing save. If an attack-minded team leaves themselves open to the counterattack, Having goalkeepers, whether that's Lauren or Keely, like them being able to step up in a big moment, make a big save, I think that could be defensive feat. I think the center back, the back line, we don't know how that's going to look right now, and sort of what qualities Kimmy will be looking at in her back line, but a goalkeeper who in an attack-minded team is there to make a big save to keep the scoreline either 0-0 or maintain a lead. I think will also be, I can see that being very important. So hopefully both of the keeper options we're looking at now as possible number ones. Hopefully we'll have big saves in their locker, because usually you find you need that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is true. And Matt, you make a good point. Like, we don't. That's the thing about an inaugural team, especially a lot of these players being pre-professional. Like, you don't have an idea of who's gonna like stand out. Like, yeah, we know Cameron is like, we know Sam is Fleming is here, but maybe like someone like a Brimmer, someone who we got some idea how she plays, but maybe she like stands out, or Isa, like she could be another standout player as well. So it's going to be interesting as well. But I think like the next, what was it? I think the next one I was going to ask y'all is like, what is the ceiling? And not the ceiling, but what is what are the heights of this team when it comes to the league and then like playoffs? Like, Kate, by the way, if you haven't, make sure you go to Riveting and check out the article that Kate did on the league. But like, better than anyone, right? Like, how does this team compete within the league against Christos, Dream Marauders, and whatnot?
So, for some context, the two teams who went to the playoffs out of this division last year, their records, Christos had a 9-0-3 record, so 9 wins, 3 draws, did not lose a game, and they had a plus 25 goal differential. UFC, who finished, they were the division and then conference championship, finished 13-1-0, so 13 wins, 1 loss with a plus 30 goal differential. So that's some pretty solid records. Again, this is a short sprint of a season, so the reality is if you want to get to the playoffs in this league, you have to win games. There's like draws don't really get, you have to be winning games, and it can come down to goal differential. Those are some pretty big numbers in terms of goal differential, so you do need to be scoring a lot of goals as well. So I think it is hard to say, obviously. It's hard to say with any of these teams because there is a lot of turnover. Players graduate. New teams are popping up everywhere, so you never know if a player has a geographic tie to another region. They might, we have 2 girls in this squad who played for other W League teams but chose to come to Richmond instead because they have a personal connection to this area. So there's a lot of turnover in these squads. They only play together for such a short period of time that you can imagine that an injury or a dip in form can really impact what was a really important player in one season. That might really impact her influence in the next. So I think there are so many variables that you don't necessarily say. Like Eagle, for example, in 2022 were 3-1-6. So they were pretty bad 2 years ago, and then lost a single game and posted 13 wins in the next season. So things can really change season to season. There's not necessarily like someone who was good last season is going to be good again this season. But the reality is you have to win games. You have to win. You can't just post a winning record. You have to drop as few points as possible. And this is a pretty stiff division. We've got 3 very good teams in this division that we're competing against. So it's not that I don't think this team can do well. It's just we are a little bit unlucky that our division is stronger than most nationally. So it's going to take a lot to be a playoff competing team. I think they can do it, but there's no beating around the bush. You have to pretty much be perfect.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the other like cool thing about this is like, unlike the men, with the women's side, like there's a lot more regional rivalries that they were promising USL League One. Like there's a lot more regional rivalries. We got Charlottesville, we got Virginia Marauders and Winchester.
Christos.
Yeah. It's a team in the 7-5 too, right? Who's in the 7-5 that we played? Somebody. I can't remember who.
I don't
Is
know
it
if
double
it's
FC in that division as well?
I mean, I got it up right now. The division is Charlottesville, Christos, which is Baltimore, Eagle FC, which is I think is Pennsylvania somewhere.
Yeah.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Northern Virginia, Patuxent, which is Maryland. So then Marauders, which is Winchester.
Okay. So I mean, there's a couple of chances for road trips. The Charlottesville game, I'm definitely looking forward to.
yeah.
That's
Everyone though, mark your calendar. It kicks off at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. So not the best scheduling from the league there in terms of helping out the 64 Derby, the sort of rivalry that we're looking to create there. Really not that great there. Would have loved maybe a kickoff that was after working hours had ended. So if you want to make the Charlottesville game, make sure to be checking your calendars now. Check your work calendar now if you do work 9 to 5 on weekdays, because they did not help us out there with that scheduling.
No, not at all. That's not fun. So Matt, you're the even kill one on this podcast. Because obviously I'm not. How do you think this team does this year? Like, how do you think they do?
I think there's some reason for optimism. I mean, you got a few kind of cornerstone players to build around. There's a lot of familiarity there. Like most of the girls we went through, a lot of them are playing at pretty high level or at least at pretty decent level D1 schools. A good number of them are getting minutes and supplemented by girls who when they are at the lower level seem to be performing quite well at those levels. So I think there's potential for optimism. I'm not going to even pretend like I've looked through the rosters of the other teams in the division to know what they're working with or not working with. But I mean, I can't imagine that there'd be too many other ones that would be like overloaded with talent.
Yeah, true. I'm expecting a playoff spot out of this team. Seems like it. Kate, because you're the resident beat reporter on this. Anything else before we wrap up the show? This is kind of a long one, but I mean, it's our first one, so it's fun.
No, just keep an eye on River City 93. I'll have an article that actually goes in detail to each of the teams that we're playing. We'll provide a little bit more perspective on who they're signing. I did as much research as I could to compare squad from last season to the signings that teams have been posting this season, and to compare their first 2 seasons to each other. So keep an eye on that. And then we'll also be posting our individual player sort of caps that we did from this as well. So if you missed anything, if you're a visual learner, that will be coming to the website. But on the whole, the first City Stadium event is this Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. I think. Discounted Ivy merch, live music, stuff like that. So that'll be a great way to sort of meet folks who are maybe not already in the Richmond soccer family, who are excited about the Ivy ahead of the home opener on May 11th. And again, this season is a sprint, so do not put off attending games. There are 6 home games, and that's it. That's all we can bank on. We can hope that we'll get some more games in the playoffs, but do not put off your attendance of these games. Hopefully that we'll have some more games in the future. We've got 6 games. Try your hardest to show up to each one, because summer gets crazy. You blink and it'll be over. So we just gotta be sure that we show up early, we show up consistently for the team, because we've got 6 home games to make an impression, to show up for the players and hopefully make their first experience at City Stadium on the field in front of a big crowd a positive one.
Yeah, for real. Matt, anything else from you before we wrap up, sir?
I mean, a lot of the stuff Kate just said. It's Mother's Day weekend, coming up. What better, way to start Mother's Day weekend? Bring your mom out to the game if she's even remotely local, and then be like, hey, look, what a better do an activity before Mother's Day. Follow up with whatever kind of Mother's Day brunch dinner you have planned for the next day. You'll be favorite child.
There you go. There you go. Win-wins for everyone. Since next weekend is probably Mother's Day, happy early Mother's Day to everyone out there, to all those celebrate. We probably won't have a show out to you till Tuesday. So, but it does give us more time to marinate over the Richmond Ivy winning. So that's a win in the grand scheme of things. So, with that being said, once again, for myself, for Matt, for Kate, for Shadir and Gabe, we can't wait. It's going to be fun. Make sure you're there. If you're not there, make sure you got the double screens pulled up. You know, one screen on the Ivy, one screen on the Kickers. Enjoying it. Yeah, that's all I got to say. So with that being said, for everyone, I got the hiccups now. I got to end the show. For everyone here, enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Be easy, be safe, y'all. I don't know how to end this. Up the Vines. Is that what we're going with? Why whip?
Go Vines, go.
No.
Climbing ever higher. Many.
We'll
The
keep
hashtags.
We'll keep workshopping this. Bye. All right. There we go.